Genworth focuses on helping customers to keep their most important promises, protecting their family, their lifestyle, and their retirement. So it was important for them to understand the promises that their customers wanted to make and keep. And they partnered with Harris Interactive to understand how people make promises to whom and why they make these promises. And they also wanted to understand and help their customers focus on saving and planning for the future. The biggest motivator for keeping promises were in general that people wanted to keep their word. So self-integrity seems to be a strong motivating factor. In fact, 88% of the respondents felt that this was their top motivator. And that was followed by satisfying a loved one and then showing loved ones that they cared. So achieving a goal was really only identified by a little more than a third of the respondents as something that was important. So the survey results also in general suggested that men and women are more alike than different in their motivations. In looking at the survey results, we really wondered why goals were not more of a motivator than some of the other factors. Singles find goals to be more of a motivating factor than those with partners. And that might be counterintuitive to us, but when you think about it, two heads and hearts have to be aligned on what to promise and for whom and how. And when partnerships work successfully, they build on individual truths and strengths to develop a life strategy, building on their strengths and then working together to overcome barriers. Some of the most surprising things that the survey uncovered were that goals were, again, less of a motivating factor for partners than for singles. And that we found interesting. And then gender money-related differences have not changed more significantly over the years, even though women's financial roles have changed. Women were much more motivated by current times, like establishing a budget, following a budget, whereas men were more motivated by longer-term planning for children's education, planning for retirement, and investing. We saw some gender differences in terms of the sexes and how they related to promises. Men give much more importance to achieving goals as their motivation. Women give more importance to satisfying loved ones and showing that they care. Men attribute breaking promises to lack of time, forgetfulness, and women give greater weight to finances. But in general, the overall survey suggests that men and women are more alike than different in their motivations. 88% of both men and women want to keep their word, and that is the key thing that really motivates them to make and keep a promise. More survey respondents attribute forgetfulness as the key factor, and also time and finances as barriers. And I believe if you look at current times right now with socioeconomic factors the way they are, all three of those factors would really be very meaningful to us. Most of us have finances in the forefront of our mind and have a lot on our plate, and so we tend to forget some of the things that are really not right in the forefront. The top 3 tips I would give for keeping promises to a loved one. Number 1 would be think team. Use your partner as your promise coach. And I think it's important to give our partners permission to remind us, give us helpful reminders and promise that we're going to perceive those as just helpful reminders instead of nagging. And then the second one would be create a shared need. Develop a promise that you'll be able to keep and that benefits both of you. And then assure success. Make sure that you can keep that promise. So use the 3R test. Make sure that it's reasonable, make sure that it's realistic, and make sure that it's rewarding for both of you. So if I had to sum that up, there are really 3 things I would suggest in helping to keep a promise to a loved one. It would think team, create a shared need, and then assure success.